Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Autopsy with Maddee P. I'm your host, Maddee P. And last week we talked about confidence, so if you missed it, hit that link, queen. And this week we're going to talk about being a good person. I know. And honestly, because I started this in February, I feel like you guys are getting a sneak peek at my sweater collection, which is tremendous. I have a fantastic sweater collection. I secretly love winter clothing. I know. For a summer queen, quite the claim to make. But this is my sweater collection, or this is one of my sweater collection items, and my new necklaces for my birthday that I wanted to wear. And today I decided to look good because I've been looking crusty. So it's kind of like a professionalism thing to me. I'm like, am I not being professional because I'm crusty as fuck? But I'm being real as shit. So that's it. Welcome back. Oh, we already did the Valentine's Day. I'm sorry, guys. I have been pre-filming, filming, editing, blah, blah, blah. And Mr. Barry is still sitting right there. I'm taking a picture of him. So you guys, I'm inserting Mr. Barry because boy, we look like we're on a date right now. I love you, Mr. Barry. So as many of you are aware, it was my birthday, February 5th, my 25th frontal lobe developing ceremony. Hey, yay! And I've been doing a lot of like accents this week, which is something I hate about myself, but like, you know, maybe in the past life, I was someone that summoned the king, you know, like with the trumpet, and I'm like, hear ye, saw ya. And I've been talking to my managers like that at work, and I don't know why I'm not in the kooky house yet, but entertainment is entertainment, I guess. So it was my birthday, my frontal lobe development ceremony. I posted about it, so I'm not going to go through the process, but I want to be open about my journey. It was hard, and I wasn't expecting it. I wrote a whole thing about it, so I'm not going to over-exhaust the subject. If you look on the Autopsy with Maddee P Instagram, it's there. But it was hard. It was hard remembering that I'm not like everyone else, and I wanted to be open and honest. I will be 6 months sober on Thursday. I know. Crazy work. Absolutely insane. And when I posted for the podcast, I put 6 months of sobriety on the like video because I didn't think I was going to be posting it until maybe 6 months. I wasn't sure. But anyways, Thursday is my 6 months of sobriety. And this like 5-month period, 4 to 6 months, which I was warned it was going to be hard, has been excruciating in some ways. Alcohol circling my mind. I've gotten a handle on it, and I am once again stable. I'm always stable in my sobriety. And when I say thoughts looming, if something were to happen and it were to like actually hit me like a bus and I was seriously contemplating actually picking up alcohol, I would be calling somebody. I have a phone number in my car for that reason, and I have it on my fridge. I have stuff I keep in my phone. So anytime or place that I am feeling extremely threatened by it, I will be calling a phone number. I will be reaching out for help. So don't take that and put me in a house or of sorts or whatever. But it has been very hard. It's been hard. For the first time, I want to drink alcohol. Before, it was a little bit different about the hardness. It was getting over all the shit I had done, getting into sobriety and trying to be happy. And that was really hard in itself. But for the first time, I missed the effects that alcohol give me. I do not miss them today. I have not missed them for like a week because I changed up. And I recognized that it was my pink cloud popping. My pink cloud really popped after my 90 days. But that month, Allie passed kind of in that area. So things were different, dealing with grief and missing Al. But I feel weird talking about craving the effects, and it wasn't the effects of alcohol I was craving. I think I was craving to be normal and like to party, and it's hard serving it's not hard serving alcohol. It's hard serving girls my age. It's hard serving people my age who are having a good time. Not always. It's really fun for me too, of course, but it was getting hard to see girls and see them about to go out for their night out for their birthday or for their bachelor or for whatever the hell it was. And it hurt. It just hurt. And it's been like that. It wasn't just my birthday. It's kind of been like that. And I pushed through it. I look for the better side always. So I knew, because I have placed perseverance so high up, that is my number one goal, because longevity is the most important thing. And that's the basis of my sobriety, is perseverance. I don't get a say in drinking. That's how I feel. I made it almost so it's like a parent. Like it's not allowed in this house. I'm just not allowed, and that's how it is. And I'm glad I did it that way, because of I recognize those time periods, and I was told it was going to be difficult, and I recognized it, and I proceeded with caution. And I'm really glad I wired myself that way, because I fear I might have slipped these last few months. And my For You page is now on TikTok is now so many sober girls. And there was a girl who came up talking about her relapse, and she only drank one night, and she was just disgusted. She was like, I remember as soon as I got drunk, I was like, this is fucking gross. I'm gross. This is gross. Like, I am gaining nothing from this. And I needed to hear that. So I'm not sure who that girl was, but I need to give her credit for posting that and being vulnerable, because that was the right video at the right time that I saw, and it kicked my ass in gear. I was like, I don't even miss that. I don't miss not even knowing where I am. I don't miss not being able to remember anything. I don't miss being sick as fuck constantly. I don't miss it. And it's just a period of change and learning my loneliness, learning myself, learning where I belong in my place. And I have to remember, I took off a big bite. And chewing that and swallowing that is going to take months. I took off a big bite in terms of everything I do in my life is disciplined. Everything I am is disciplined. There is no boys around. There is no one who is going to fill my void for me. And I'm well aware of that. And just constantly searching for things that fill that void, or how to fill it myself in a peaceful way that the universe wants me to. That's a lot on a person. And so of course it's going to be difficult. Of course it is. And I think I underestimate that sometimes, because I have been holding the mic too close, and I like it personal like this. I like holding the mic. I literally have an arm. But the Valentine's episode, the audio is so fucked because I held the mic too close to my face, and the first little bit of this is too. And that's okay. I'm not starting over. Just not happening. So this week, talking about being a good person. Basically, I've been having a hard time. Wanted to be honest about it. I'm getting to a much more stable and reasonable space. And that is through gratitude. That's through gratefulness. And it's through putting my spirituality first, and my relationship with my higher power, and with my life, and with my friends, and focusing on the little things that are supposed to bring me joy. And if little things aren't bringing you joy anymore, search for it, because they do still bring you joy. And it's so sweet to get back to that place. And I'm so glad I have that again, where getting a milkshake like brightens my day, or getting to go through a Starbucks line is just like, tee. It's cheesy, but it very much so helps me. And getting back to the little things that make us happy, that we're grateful for, is a great way to illustrate that, and to move forward from those hard, dark, weird places. And again, like I said, if you're going through something like that, reach out to me. I promise you I will answer on my Instagram. Please reach out to me if you need help, or if you have any personal questions with your sobriety. No limitations, anything that you need help with, or any questions you have, let me know. Second, remember how I said to picture life like you're in a state of change, and that picture things as periods of time. So I knew this is going to be excruciating for a few months, and I've been told it's going to be excruciating for a few months. And I think because I wired my brain like that, it helps a lot through those times. And I talked a little bit about that on a previous video, I believe episode 2, the dry January kind of episode. So go back to that. If you're going through a hard time and you're not sure what's next, if there is a next, maybe don't even want the next. You want relief. And it's really hard to be disciplined during those times and remember that it actually does nothing for us. And the way you feel is the way you feel, and alcohol isn't going to fix that. And it sucks when I remember that sometimes, because there are times in my head where I'm like, oh, I could just be fixed. During that period, I was like, I could just be fixed. False. No, you can't. You can't. Love you. That was it. This week, we're talking about being a good person, which is a boring topic. And everything that I talk about on here, I hold myself to this standard. So there are times that I fall short with everything I talk about. Of course, there are times I fall very short, but this is my expectation and this is what I aim for with myself. Does it mean I follow through with everything I say on here? No. But is that the standard I hold myself to? Yes. And do I hold myself accountable if I don't hit that? Yes. I have a notebook where I write every single day. At the end of my day, at the beginning of my day. What are my goals for the day? And where did I fall short? Where was I a piece of shit? And where did my human and natural Maddie instincts come back in? Because I'm retraining this muscle to be kind and patient and loving and fulfilled. And that comes through accountability. And so I also urge a notebook that you write in every day, that you can be honest. And I don't like when other people hold me accountable. Now I have a lot less of an issue with that. But if I hold myself accountable, and I could do it brutally, I could do it. Would that mean I would improve? No, but I could do it brutally. And now I'm hitting a place where I like that other people maybe have something to say or have a disagreement or don't like something about me or not necessarily don't like something about me. Whatever. They have a conflict with me or my personality. And I like moments like that because it's when your practice pays off. It's when all these things I rehearsed, how to be a better person, how to do all this, comes into play. So we're talking about being a good person this week. Kind of boring, but essential, especially if you're a sober person. This is essential to everyone though. And I will start with a quote, like always. This week's quote: the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. Gandhi did fucking say that. Gag me with a spoon. Sorry. I just feel like I'm trying to be Gandhi. Like I'm trying to channel Gandhi sometimes, which is hilarious because me, of all the wicked witch of the West, I like have broomstick parking outside of my door. So like this standard that I hold myself to sometimes is just like, girl, you crazy as shit. But this is the life I've chosen and I want fucking better. I want to be the fucking best, period. So there's something called agape love. If you're a Christian, you may have heard of this. This podcast, I don't identify with any religion. I do not identify with anything. This is about you. And this is an open space, no matter what you believe, no matter what you think, no matter who you are. So we don't discuss that kind of stuff here. But I'm using agape love as an example today. I just wanted to make sure that you know you're safe and you're not going to get yelled at by a Christian or anything. So I work very hard to make this a safe space and not bring anything into it, or anyone else's beliefs into it or whatever. So agape love is considered the highest level of love in Christian faith. And there are forms of agape love across all walks of faith, across different cultures. It is essentially the highest level of faith. This is universal, selfless love. This is pure love in every piece. The world, the universe, whatever is filling you. And no matter what you're facing, no matter what other people are going through, no matter how mean they are to you, you show them agape love. It is a Christian thing, but I urge you to look up agape love. If you know my mother, you know about agape love, or you should. If not, you weren't paying attention. I'm kind of a tiny version of my mother, but I really like agape love. And I think that is a great way to start this week because I was not aware of agape love. And I think it's beautiful. I love that there's a word for that because sometimes when I am out in the world and I try to measure my selflessness, sometimes I'm like, am I getting run over? And not getting run over by others, but in terms of how kind I am to certain people. You know, it's like, I'm like, wait, okay, so now am I doing myself an injustice? Am I doing the world an injustice for helping this person who's a piece of shit or whatever it might be? Even though this person is horrible, me doing something for them. And I'm like, the morals get a little fogged in that lens, because also self is important and not abandoning self and standing next to self. And that's the new thing that I talked about with myself, coming into terms with trust as well. Trusting myself and trusting the angles morally, which can be hard because we just want to ask for advice. And in my head, I'm like, am I doing the right thing? But I love agape love because it shows me that it doesn't matter how selfless I am. There is no crime in it. There is no crime in how kind I am. There is no crime in me not wanting to bite back. I'm not doing a huge injustice to myself or to the world, regardless of how I act according. This goes different for if I need to stick up for myself or if somebody is being unkind. But I like that. And I want you to know that if you are somebody like that, there is nothing wrong with it. You don't have to be a fighter. You don't have to put on your big girl shoes. The only thing that you are required, if you're going to identify with that type of love, is that you make sure you protect yourself and that you have a strong lineup on who you are and how you're treated. Otherwise, I don't think there's anything wrong with agape love. And I don't want you to feel bad if you're one of those people. I've been really struggling with the whole bound of that. And I think a lot of it is the culture. It's this whole bad bitch energy, biting people's head off, being a bitch for no reason, being jealous, being insecure, being angry, being competitive. It's so normal and it's exhausting. And it makes you think, am I supposed to be that way? No, you don't have to be that way. Guess what? You get to be whatever you want. You get to be whatever you fucking want. You get to carry whatever morals, whatever values, whatever teachings you want. And it is not lost on me that I grew up with very good parents. And so it is not lost on me that a lot of this is a reflection of my parenting. And I understand that not everyone has that blessing. I am aware I was raised right, period, point blank. So that's why I'm making this, because I don't think people have empathy anymore. And not everyone, I feel for people because not everyone was raised right. 90% of people aren't, which is why I'm so grateful for what I have. Like, how crazy is it my parents are still together and still love each other and would still do anything for me ever in the entire world. And I know that in my heart of hearts. And I know nobody will love me like my parents love me. Other people don't have that. And I really feel for people that don't. I really do, which is why I'm so grateful for what I have. But yeah, not lost on me. And so we're going to talk about being a good person. And we're going to start with saying we are so far from our virtues. So far. And maybe this, again, is the Southern girl in me, but I knocked on my neighbor's doors when I moved into this apartment. And one of them opened the door and was like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I'm your neighbor. And she's like, okay. And then I have another older one who's very kind, but we don't know our neighbors. Aren't we supposed to bring them shit and say hello and be like, yeah, I live in the neighborhood now. I talk to all my neighbors when I see them. Hello, how are you? Whatever. That is not real. Our virtues are not here. Don't even get me started on respecting elders. Don't even get me started. That shit pisses me off. And again, that is the Southern girl in me. But if you don't respect your elders, you are fucked. You're a piece of shit. Sorry. You're a piece of shit, though. Respect your elders, first and foremost. Being kind is the same. We always want to talk about world change. We want to talk about change the world peace. This world sucks. Let's change it. Yes, the world sucks. Again, fuck my country. You're welcome. But we always talk about that. And then we also talk about how it starts so small, starts in our community. It starts smaller than that. So the same people who are out here preaching about we got to change this, change that, don't even know their neighbor's name. Don't nod at people. Don't say hello. If you see an older person that you live near taking trash out, you should be grabbing that bag. And it is astonishing to me that people don't do that. It's astonishing to me that people don't help their neighbors, don't say hello, ask how their day is going. I had neighbors when I was sick, who I'd see walk my dog, how you feeling? Oh, you're feeling better today? Okay, good. And again, that is a very Southern thing. So I know not all of the United States, especially not all the world, and not that all the United States is like that, but I don't see why not. And maybe there's a nosiness that comes with it, and I'm taking it and interpreting it in a kind, peaceful light, and maybe it's rooted in nosiness that the South does have. But I learned something growing up, that if you pass somebody more than once, you say hello to that person. Like if you pass somebody in the hallway, on your way to school, on your way to class, or on your way to work, or your walk, however you go to a certain gas station, you see the same person, whatever. We all have certain people that we come in contact with regularly who we don't know on a personal level. You say hello to them. You're passing them. That's a human. It's a human being. See, somebody in New York City is watching this like, girl, you don't know shit. But but you say hello because that's the kind thing to do, because we are part of a community. I don't know if people even know this. We are part of a community. We all make one cohesive community. And community used to be such a different thing. Even when I was growing up, community was such a different thing. Let alone what it was like hundreds of years ago. Communities were more like families. We came together in such a different way, and it's completely lost on us. And I really think if even just a few people like heard this and started to make a little bit of change in the way that they go about life, our communities could be restored. And like community being restored, in turn, that means state restored. That means region restored. That means country restored. No, it's just getting too ambitious. That's impossible. That's actually impossible. So, community is lost, and it pisses me off. And I'm tired of people not having virtues. I'm tired of people not having basic human respect and thinking that the world owes them something. And I think that's the issue. People don't walk around with a natural kindness and respect for each other because we swear up and down the world owes us some shit. No, you're bitter and your lens are skewed. And I must have a really good sunglass collection or glasses collection, because I'm constantly talking about our vision and our glasses that we wear. But we have a lot of glasses. I know I did and do still. You're bitter though, and I'm sorry, and I love you, but it's like the world doesn't owe you anything. You're just as bad as the other people you swear are bad, and you're just part of the problem. So I think agape selfless love is very important, and it brings everyone such a sense of peace. Okay, now, when I say being a good person in your community, what am I referring to as a good person, right? You're like, well, I'm a good person. I'm not inherently mean to anyone. I'm going to explain kind of what I mean by a good person in your community. This is someone who treats others with respect. People you do not know, people who could potentially shit on you, people who are actively shitting on down your back. You treat them with respect. That is what a good person does. It's like the best example I can come up with for this is like when there's a couple and the girl hits the guy and the guy hits her back. The guy hitting her back is always in the wrong regardless. Men don't touch women, period, point blank. That's how it works. And it's kind of that similar philosophy. No matter how the person is shitting on you or what happens, you stand firm in your beliefs and you respect that person. You let them blow up in your face because you understand that it is more important to you that you walk away unscathed and that the morals that you have remain always, which requires discipline again. Someone who is a good person is always fair and just in doing so. And I think that is also lost. I've talked about fairness and my father-like obsession with fairness and with justness in the world. But it is just fair and just to treat the next person with kindness. It's very simple. To be fair and just is to be a good person and to not walk around like everyone owes you some shit they don't fucking owe you. And being a good person is somebody who is kind, uplifting, and compassionate. Compassionate. And I know a lot of these things are like, why are you saying this? We should know this. Recently, I might cut this out. I have been experiencing a lot of bitter women. And I hate to say that because I love my ladies, and for a while, I did not feel this way, but recently, I just feel like there's a natural competition oozing from the walls or something that I am not a part of, and I did not get any memo of that everyone thinks I'm in competition. I'm not. And see where I don't edit out my burps? Do you see? And I feel like people have been being mean and not uplifting and not compassionate and kind. How do you not look at the person next to you and be like, they have a whole life inside of them. They are filled with the same shit that I'm filled with. Like they are just as magic as me. And I am getting blessed for that view. So I don't want to say, how could you not? Like people have so many fucked up things happen to them that skews their perception of the world, who have been getting fucked up since they were born. Not fucked up, but like having things happen to them in their life and unfortunately walking a walk that is not fair in some ways to the rest of the world. They look around and it's not fair. And see, that's me illustrating compassion right there as I explain it. So you know what I mean by compassion. These are, to me, what a good person is. And a good person doesn't cut people off in traffic. Their time is not more valuable or less valuable than anyone else's. And I have learned that. I used to be, like we talked about, fast life, super impatient. I don't have anywhere to be because I'm on time, because I'm a productive member of my society. So I always leave with a few minutes to spare when it comes to work or certain places that I need to be there on time. I leave with a few extra minutes because I have learned to slow down in life, and giving myself a little extra time allows me to put my cup in the cup holder right. It prevents me from spilling my coffee. It prevents me from dropping my keys and getting overwhelmed and frazzled and freaked out. Time gives me a little space, you know? Getting ready in the morning leaves me extra time before I go to work or whatever. Little things like that. So good person doesn't cut people off in traffic. Well, okay, I didn't mean it like that. Angrily, road rage, being a dick, taking your turn away from somebody else, or just not letting somebody go in front of you when it would have taken 2 seconds because you're a dick and because you have somewhere so important to be and because your time is much more valuable apparently than others, which mind you, it is not. Another reminder, we're the same. We are people. What feels you feels somebody else. Repetition. I'm so good at repetition on this podcast. It kills me sometimes and I repeat myself 5 times. But a lot of these topics kind of like envelope back into each other, I find. Let me just say, when I first got sober, I had no concept. At this time, I was empty. I had no concept of a higher power. Of course I did. But going through what I went through, you lose it. You lose everything. You're crazy. You are delusional. You lose everything. I lost that. I lost the agape love that I was being provided with. I lost my higher power. I lost all of it. And I just want to say, you don't need God to be a good person. Because when I first got sober, I recognized I am not a productive, kind, gentle member of society. I do not put others first all the time. I cut people off. I don't wait patiently for my turn. I erupt when something doesn't go my way in public. Whatever. And you don't have to have God. You don't have to have a reason to do that. I didn't have one. I simply wanted to be a productive member of society because I recognized that I was being unfair and unjust and that we are all the same and no person is less or more important than the next person. And that is 100% true, irregardless your walk of life or if you think your shit don't stink or not. It stinks. Period, girl. You crusty. So I just wanted to point out, you don't have to have a reason. You don't have to have a God. You don't have to have a Bible. You don't have to have a verse telling you to go do that. This is basic human rights. And I want to be human rights. What the fuck was that? Basic human stuff. And I wanted that to be a big example in this podcast to remind everyone that we simply can push to be the best we can be. And we can simply push to have a productive community, to be a productive member in our society, to help other people. And that when somebody walks away, they may not be better having left you, but they are not worse. And that I can guarantee of others. Actually, I know I always joke about Gandhi. I actually know like nothing about Gandhi. I joke about it because of the standard that we talked about that I hold myself to, that it, to some people is just crazy. To me, it brings me a lot of peace and I think it's important. To other people, they're just like, girl, it doesn't have to be that deep. Like, you're a person. And it's funny because I actually don't know much about Gandhi, but when I got that quote for the week, I was like, I always joke about Gandhi. Like, what are some of the things that he instilled? What are some virtues? I want to learn a little bit more about this guy, right? And forgiveness was a big one. And again, we have an episode where we'll talk about this coming up. I'm going to say that every time. But forgiveness. We don't forgive people. We hold these serious grudges, and we have it against the community as a whole, against the entire world. We cannot forgive. Forgive the world for what they've done to you. Forgive the people. Forgive it. The world didn't do it. Certain people did. Forgive the community. Don't feel like you're holding on to something, because you're not. You're making life harder for yourself and for others. And I think reading about the fact that he cared so much about forgiveness in general was really eye-opening to me, because I was like, that relates so much to the community, because we don't forgive anymore and we just hold on to this shit. And before you know it, our backpack is so full of lack of forgiveness and just general anger towards the public that we grumble walking through a grocery store, that for some reason it's annoying that somebody walked slow in front of us or whatever the hell it was. Like, these little things that are so trivial now mean so much to us. Like, if you're not looking at the person that checked you out in the face and saying thank you when it's done, you suck. You suck. And you should not be acting like that. Again, Southern woman, but kindness, you guys, kindness. It's so lost, and it bothers me so much. And that's why I brought up the girls recently, because I just feel like I try so hard to be kind and uplifting. And especially with women, I go out of my way, especially if they're around a male or if they're on a date or whatever it is, to first things foremost, compliment the girl, look at her, make sure she has an understanding that I see you as a woman and I'm on your side first and foremost. We are on a team. To me, if I see a woman, we're on the same team. And recently, it doesn't feel that way towards myself. But that does not diminish the way that I look at the world. That does not diminish my kindness. And it only boosts me forward because I see how many people are hurting, clearly. And why do you feel that the general public isn't worth the work? What about people? And it's funny because I used to say that the general public is dumb as fuck. Like, the general public just sucks. And I still hold some of that. I mean, like, we live in America. You know, I'm not out here about to say everybody's great, because that is so not true, honestly. But it's not about others. It's about us. And it's selfish to be selfless in a lot of ways, because we know that we're gaining so much from being so selfless. So if you feel like the general public sucks, which it does, let go of it. And why? Also, why? I had to ask myself that. I was like, why do I think that? I'm a server, first of all. So maybe that's where a lot of this discipline in terms of remaining kind and standing on 10 when it comes to respecting others stems from, because I face people not doing that to me every day. And I have to consciously, in my brain, there's so many times that I have to stop myself. Again, this is the level I hold myself to. I'm not always, there are times I slip, but especially recently, holding myself to a standard and smiling at somebody that acts that way towards me. And maybe that's, a lot of that comes from serving, and that's why I have to practice it every day. And I realized, why do I hate the general public? What bothers me so much about people? And it was a selfish answer. It honestly was that they're not me. And I think that they're mean to me. Grow up. Grow up. Sorry, grow up. And I want you to think, and here's another thing about being inherently kind and representing agape love, and no matter what, putting others first, which I think is funny, because in some ways I feel as though I've taught you a few separate things. It is others come first. That's how it is for me. In sobriety especially, it's important to my sobriety. It is essential, and it should be to yours, that you are helpful, that you are kind, that you are patient with somebody you've never met before. These are virtues that stem to that void. They stem to the home hole and to the parts of us that we let make us insecure and not confident. Again, like we talked about in the last episode. And empathy is learned. I think empathy is learned. Again, no scholar here. I also, oh, you can't even see. I cross my legs very weird PCOS style. I don't have PCOS, but I read an article that if you cross your legs weird in a certain way, you have that or iron deficiency. So I do that weird. I'm a corkscrew with my legs when I sit. I say this because, yeah, empathy is earned, blah, 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 blah. Jesus. Criminy Christmas. Get her medicated. Medicate her. Somebody sedate me. Also, don't you guys love that? Somebody sedate me. I love that audio. Empathy is learned because remember, think about the time that you were going through something very difficult and the one person you didn't know at a grocery store or in public or in traffic or anywhere that was inherently very kind to you for no reason. They had no idea what you were going through. And it is so basic that we say we don't know what someone else is going through, but I don't think it actually clicks in us. It did not click in me. I would always be like, we don't know what somebody's going through, but then it'd be super easy for me to get pissed off at somebody I don't know being a dick to me while I'm serving or out in public. But we actually don't know what somebody else is going through. Hello. Empathy is learned because we recognize those things. We recognize the patterns of these people are just kind to me. Why is this person just kind to me? I didn't do anything for them. They don't know I'm suffering. And as we walk through life, we experience more hardships. We experience more turmoil and the harder things. We learn this empathy. We want to carry ourselves in a way that represents strength and that when other people look at us, again, they walk away with a smile or they feel better because of it. So I do think in a lot of ways that empathy is you're born with it or it's learned. And I think a lot of the people that have gone through the worst shit in life are the absolute kindest because they know what it means. They know that kindness can save a life. Kindness can literally save a life. So if you don't think kindness is a virtue, which if you're watching this, I shouldn't be acting like it's not because if you're watching this, I'm sure you're already well aware. But really being an active member of your community is what you should strive for if you're already aware of that virtue, if you're already aware of kindness and it is something you illustrate, it is something that it's important to you. Take that bound to the next level. I'm not even going to sit here and talk about service work. I'm not going to talk about go to a shelter. I'm not going to talk about all the shit that I do in my life or that is recommended by the program or whatever it is. That's its whole other beautiful thing, by the way. We'll get more into service work. We'll get more into it. Jeez. God, this movie is long. This is a really long song. Push yourself towards the little things. And I don't like giving examples of the things I do. And I know it's cheesy, but I don't because I feel like the second that I tell someone the kind thing that I did, it's gone. And that it's erased. That kind thing now doesn't live in me the same. The joy that I got from it, which yes, we do gain. We'll get there. We do gain from kindness, mind you. It kind of like flakes out because then it's for a different purpose. And I don't know. It's important to me, but I wanted to give one example of something that is very, very small. Aside from, if you see someone older carrying a trash or dropping what I talked about, all the little minor things that most people don't do in order to be a productive member of society and in order to care of others first. I start on a small level. So, and I don't mind sharing this because I still do it all the time and not all the time. I don't mind sharing this because I still do it and I think it's just sweet and something fun we can do for each other. And I just feel weird about props for stuff like this, but I'll get a bouquet of flowers, typically sunflowers, and go to a beach or to a park or somewhere where people are walking around and give women flowers, one flower. And it makes them smile and it brightens their day. And I know it's like, what does that do for your community? What does that even do? Girl, I don't know. But that girl is smiling now and she feels a lot better about herself. And she knows that a woman is also on her team. Which I used to feel that unity. I don't know about that unity anymore. And yeah, showing women that you're on their team, I think is important. And I don't think it's about the insecurity of women. I think it's important to remind each other that we are literally on the same team. We are on the same team and every woman should be united in each other in that way and support and uplift each other in that way. So that is just one example of like, if you're looking for something, if you already do the things I'm talking about, if you're already inherently an active member in your community, an active member of your society, then that's something I do. That's just one thing. And then there are so many little things, I'm not going to sit here and tell you what you can do to be a better person. Also, I think I would be really good, but also boot cut jeans. Oh, my. Love you, Aubrey. So that's something that I do. That just brings brightness to somebody. That's not a minuscule task, a minute, everyday little thing to do for somebody. But I will say, I have gotten to a place where I've kind of taken this to the next level, and that every day there has to be at least one thing I do that is selfless, that is not an act of myself, that took time out of my day, that maybe disrupted something, that I had to sacrifice a timeline of something, I had to sacrifice of some sort to do that. I will not list what that is because, again, I feel weird about it, but I will share one I had yesterday because it wasn't a human. So, for example, last night, it is easy for me to check off the boxes of doing something for somebody as a server, so I take my work day out of that unless I was selfless again and did something outside of bounds in my serving or whatever. But last night I was coming home from work. My mom loves animals. My mom loves bugs. And she always taught me life is very important. I agree. I knew from a very, very young age, you don't mess with bees, you don't hurt animals, you don't pick flowers. Again, I have great parents, so me sitting here is kind of bullshit. It's like, girl, you had it the best, so please. But I knew from a young age, life and environment and nature is very important to preserve, and it's a part of us. And I came from a very Christian life, so God wanted me to care for all creatures, whether it was a worm or whether it was a full breathing adult, or a baby, or whatever, or a dog, or a bug. And so last night, my mom saves animals, like, my whole life. My sister, this is some white people shit, y'all. You know what, Mary? I'm sorry. I'm going to say this. I was about to say I'm not, going to expose my sister like this, but I think it's really sweet. When my sister was little, instead of, there'd be, a cockroach or a bug in the house, and my sister would be like, don't kill it. And she would get it and take it outside. It'd be like a roach or a house spider or something. And she would take it outside. That's so cute to me. Sorry for exposing you, ML, on your white people shit, but that's just sweet. That's agape love. That's what we have during childhood. We have that. Because we're not skewed. Our lenses our Ray-Bans we keep talking about is not so fucked because we're kids and we're playful and life is sweet and life is fun. God, back to the story. Jeez, I'm on a whirlwind train over here. Came in from work and there was a huge worm sitting in the middle of the sidewalk. It was a large one. When I was little, as a Southerner, totally played with bugs, played in dirt, played with worms. My mom used to take lizards and clip them and put them on her ears, play with lizards, whatever. As an adult, no. If I kill a cockroach, I struggle to pick it up even though it's dead. So I don't know where that went, but I love being outdoors. I love being dirty. I love whatever. Touching bugs and critters, no, absolutely not anymore. So I see this worm, walk past it. I think in my head, my mom would totally save that worm. My mom has told me if a worm is on the sidewalk or searching for dirt, it needs to be in the grass. You need to move it to the grass, to the dirt. They're essential for, not only is that a creature that deserves to live, but it is essential for our environment that worms exist and that they go through our dirt. Essential, right? I got a big composting mop. Walk past the worm, come into my door, and I'm like, I can't unsee the worm. Walk in, take my shoes off, and I'm like, fuck, I can't unsee the worm. And I was like, I did do something at work that was pretty selfless, but I didn't do my task walking around outside of work. I didn't do my task for the day because I hadn't really... Actually, I take that back. I had a task yesterday I can't tell y'all about, but I stood up for a woman on 10, period. Not going to talk about it. But I was like, fuck, I need to go fucking save that damn worm. I need to go save that freaking worm. So went back outside. Ugh. God. Saved the worm. Tried to use a stick. Had to use my hands. This is a big daddy worm. This worm was like, I'm not kidding, it was longer than a pen. That was a big worm. Saved it, put it in the grass. Example of selflessness. It was disgusting, but the worm needed to live. The worm was not going to live if it stayed on my sidewalk. It was going to dry up and it was going to die. Ugh. No. It'd be a carcass. And there'd be a dead worm on my walkway. Don't want that. Anyways, that is an example that I'm willing to share about what I mean with, that's how minuscule I mean with selflessness. But we're training our brain, we're training our mind for agape love, to be that minuscule with your efforts and to be that driven on caring first about something else, irregardless how grossed out you are by a worm. It trains me. It reminds me that I am not better. I am not any different from that worm, which is so dramatic, but things are dramatic to me. And I'm not. I don't deserve to live any more than the worm. Oh, God. Yes, I do. What kind of shit was that, man? We're moving on to we're getting away from this worm. This worm is ruining my life, and it's making me sound fucking dumb. We're done talking about the worm. Glad you lived, though, buddy. Could you imagine if I walked out there and that thing was dead in the grass? I had to overcome. And again, I had to overcome some fear to pick up that damn worm. Other people in the world are sick. They are spiritually sick. They do not have the peace of mind, the life that you have. I was sick. I was unkind. I remember what that was like. And it gives me a peace of mind to know that it's not personal. The world is not personally coming to attack me. The world is not personally ruining my life. The world is a concept. It cannot ruin my life, you know? And I think that that really helps with the perspective of an asshole, like a grown man flipping me off in traffic and me wanting to be like, you're grown, you creep. Stop yelling at me. I don't do that anymore. I give them a little, or I'm just like, sorry. Like dead ass in traffic, if I mess up now, I'll be like, I'm sorry. And usually the person is like, oh, I thought you were going to be an asshole back. And they're kind of like, oh. And they like watch you go by and I'm just like, sorry, I suck at driving. I should have looked, whatever. That actually kind of helps too. Just like taking immediate accountability, I find in life. And I think it's because the world thinks they need to teach you something. They think you need to know what they know. So I think almost in some ways, immediate accountability helps with the kindness flow of things, because immediately like, oh, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, that's not cool. My bad. And people are like, oh, I was going to come over here and scream at you and blame you for the demise of the entire universe. But I guess I'll find my next victim that way. So I think that helps. And remembering that other people are sick helps me because I am filled with peace and other people are not. So it is my duty, because I am filled with peace and because I know these facts, to try to bridge the gap between me and the world that does not view that. And it's a crumble effect. It takes one person being kind to the next person. Now empathy is growing within this person. They'll never see that person again. Now empathy is growing in them. Then they do it to another person. Now empathy is starting to blossom in them, and so on and so forth. And that's how we build these communities. Not even to mention, you know what? It represents freedom. That's what being inherently kind represents, because you are free. You are free from the bounds of what other people think. You are free from what the world wants you to be, what the world wishes of you. You are just you. You are just kind. You don't need a reason. That is freedom. That is a huge representation of freedom. At least to me, I think that type of love is freeing. It's freedom. You're not so attached. You're not so angry at something that you can't even be kind. So what do we gain? What do we gain from being a productive, kind member of society? What do we gain from holding ourselves to this insane place, to this insane level, and holding ourselves to that? What do we even gain? First of all, I wish I could tell you that we gain nothing. I really almost wish the answer to that was nothing. We gain purpose. You see this purpose I have for a damn worm? That's a purpose, though. It gives me a purpose, at least for that night. I'm not thinking about drinking. I'm not thinking about anything negative in my life. I'm only thinking about how the hell I'm going to get this worm off the sidewalk without touching it, if possible whatsoever. It was not possible. So you gain purpose and you gain a meaning. To me, it gives me meaning. And as we talked about, as clearly somebody who's very purpose and meaning driven, who I need to be productive, I need to give. I need to give. and I want to be productive. So it gives me meaning. It gives me a purpose that I know that even if I never find what I'm meant for in this life, I have a purpose to be inherently good and not under any rule of any God, not under the rule of anything, simply from being a born human being. That's what that stems from. And I'm honestly telling you, that is what it stemmed from. Contribution. You're contributing to your society now. You have a reason. I need reasons. And I think it stems from needing a reason to live. Honestly, I've been honest about the way my past has looked like in my episodes with depression and stuff like that. So you know what? I like to have my reason to be alive to be filled in my chest, and that it's so small that it just exists. I just like being alive. And I had to minimize that a lot so that the reason was very, very small, so that slowly it can morph into just being alive. It gives me purpose. Just being alive makes me happy. And maybe that's what all the stem for searching to be better and searching to be a productive member, it gives us a home. Now our community is, in our world, is not so scary. It's a place we live. It's a place we come together. It's a place we share. You understand, actually, the world can give you a lot. The world can now fill you with this new purpose and meaning. And the world being inherently bad, in some ways, benefits you at the cost of there's more to fix. And there's more people to make smile. There's more people to make feel enlightened and to share the peace that you share now. And I think that that's a beautiful reason alone to want to contribute to your community. Well, karma. Good things happen to good people, which is not my reason for doing any of this, but sometimes whenever I'm in a really selfish state, because I don't wake up every day and choose to be the best I can be. Sometimes I wake up not the best I can be, and I have to push throughout the day to be the best I can be. Those are the most exhausting days, mind you. I kind of having a day like that today, which is why I chose to record. And on certain days, I'm like, well, at least I have good as shit karma. At least I know I'm getting into the good place, you know, at worst. So if you really do need a reason, which is fair, like being mad at the world is fair, makes sense. I did it for a long time. Makes sense, but it's just so trivial and so dumb and so minute. And like I said, trains us that you come second. You are not more valuable than anybody else. And I think because I literally thought that I was better than people. I think that's why I think that, and why learning that lesson just transforms your perspective, because being good gives you so much. It fills you in a way you can't describe. Because you're not searching to. I think a lot of people are just searching anywhere for something to fill me. And realizing that you don't get filled by anger. You don't get filled by being a bitch. You don't get filled by getting your payback or whatever you think you're doing. Yeah, we've got this internal monologue. Once again, who the hell do we think we are? I feel like I didn't address sober people as much today because we have to learn this in order to stay sober too. It's a huge part of sobriety is learning, and is also service work. If you're not in the program, not aware, service work is important with us. And we know that giving the gift that we now have is essential to our sobriety, and helping others is 100% essential, period, point blank. It's the most important thing, because it's not a wrong place to fill yourself anymore. It's not, that void is being filled in a very productive way that gives you so much now. And we're not looking around for answers the same. So if you're a sober person, this should go without saying, you know, like you already know how much it means to you and how important it is that you stay vigilant on helping others. And we're an example. If you want the world to be a better place, you don't go scream and shout how the world is a better place. You walk out there and you show people why it should be a better place. You show people what it's like to be good, the peace that comes with that, the peace that comes in living in a productive society and community. And we're so far gone from that shit, so far gone. And we're an example, and it's important to be an example, even to people you don't know. Like, it's important to smile. It's important to be kind. My favorite thing is, as a young woman, is oogling people in terms of like older people who think respect doesn't exist anymore, older people who think that we're a piece of shit generation, which I'm sitting here having to preach basic virtues. So I feel like in a lot of ways it's lost on us, sincerely lost on this generation. But I like that. And it's selfish, but I like to show older people or people who have lost faith that goodness is real. Goodness still exists. And that I am an example of that. And that's important to me. So, and I'm not going to say it again. You learn from others. You learn from others. And I'm not going to talk about the spiritual axiom again because I talked about it last episode. But I'm just telling you, if people are pissing you off, you more than likely, they do something that you hate, which is so annoying because all roads lead back to us. That's the fucked up thing. All these things we're mad at, all these things that we have resentment towards, that we regret, whatever, all the roads lead back to us. No matter how much you want to blame the next person, no matter how much you want to blame the world, no matter how much you want to blame your God, no matter how much you want to blame whatever, the road leads back to you. And we have an issue with holding accountability. We have an issue with holding ourselves to a Gandhi level. You know what I mean? Not actually Gandhi, but like, holding ourselves to such a Mother Teresa type of deal. Did I just like hierarchy them like that? Damn. Damn. But it should not be lost on you. And I hope you're taking what I say very much so in a loving manner, where I'm not calling you out, but imploring you to go out of your way each day to do selfless acts, to not talk about them. And that your world revolves around the betterment of others, the betterment of your community, and the betterment of the world in turn. And that you understand you are just a small part of a much bigger picture. We all come together to create one community. So there's doctors, there's lawyers, there's firefighters, there is public safety, there is sanitation workers, nurses, teachers, whatever the hell. The person is not more important than the next. We need all of those things to make a productive society. The people that you don't like, say, I'm nice and bubbly, for example. Clearly. God, she's crazy. I'm crazy. I'm delusional. I'm nice and bubbly. So I don't like stern people. I don't like very black and white, angry or bitter or complainers. I don't like that type of person. But, and I'm not sure where I learned this. I know I read this or I watched something about this somewhere. I don't know. I think it was a YouTube video. Anyways, I now understand that we need that person in society because we have to have all these different personalities. One is very, very different from the other, but we need them to have a productive community. And I think that hearing that at one point really clicked with me because I recognized that, so just because a person isn't that similar to me, we still need them in our community. We need them in our world to even things out, just like in a relationship, opposites attract or whatever they say. And that's how we create teams, which is what we're supposed to be in a community, is a team. And if we understood that better, we wouldn't be so angry at people that are different than us. We'd understand that they help us create the team and that they come into this table and that we can create from there. I just wanted to implore you guys to walk around like your shit stinks. Walk around like you are not more valuable than the next person. And it gives so much more than we think. Being selfless, like I said, is selfish, in a good way. It gives us so much more than we think. And purpose and unity and community. We need that. The opposite of addiction is community. It's being around others. It's caring for them. And that's the type of things that fill us, especially as addicts. Addicts and alcoholics. So I love you guys very much. And I hope this week you're a little more selfless and you care a little bit more for your neighbor ahead of yourself. It starts in such little tiny ways, we can't save the world until we save ourselves and until we're even willing to help each other. We're not going to save this world if we're not even willing to sit down and talk, if we're not even willing to say hello or look the person bagging your groceries in the eyes. Respect is lost. Virtues are lost. And I want you as a bad bitch to have morals and have virtues in place. That shit is so important, to stand on 10, to stand on what you believe in, and to make sure that you are, even if you can't achieve a Gandhi level, that you're looking up to that. Because we're all still human. It's hard to be that way when the world has come to this place. But I urge you to be there for each other and to remember that it all starts so much smaller than we think. So yeah, I love you guys, and I hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.